Well, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Today, with the current sets that are out, I wanted to ask the question, is it better to purchase a Double Masters 2022 box or one of the sets on the other end of it? If we look at the history of Master sets and how they compare to the sets, the standard sets that were around them, where should our money go and what is the better investment? So here's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to compare Double Masters 2022. And on either side of that, you've got Dominaria United, and then you've got like Commander Legends or Streets of New Capenna. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of the idea is what do you want to put your money in. And we're going to take a look at the history of all the master sets and then either set on either side, and look at MSRP and what the boxes were kind of selling at, and then compare it to today's prices, and then evaluate which one won. And at the end, I'm going to give you my takes on what does this mean for collectors and investors and why I think this is. So let's hop in and take a look at how I got the data real quick. If you want to skip forward a minute or two, you can skip through this, but I think it's important for posterity's sake to tell you how I got this info. First off, we had MSRP all the way up until Double Masters. We had MSRP for these products. So what I did is I took the MSRP. MSRP is on a pack-to-pack basis, and I compared that to the MSRP of the regular boxes, and then I took today's prices at TCG Player. I took the box price, what it's currently selling for, and then divided by the number of packs, because MSRP is based on the number of packs, and so that's how I did that. But then also, most of us, or most people who invest in Magic the Gathering, are not paying MSRP. They have sources where they are able to get boxes cheaper, whether that be like alpha investments or other YouTubers or other stores or things like that. So typically, I think for the most part, people were able to get about $85 boxes, between $80 and $90 boxes on the open market. So that's what I used for the standard sets. And then some of the master sets were really hard to get products, so I just stuck with the MSRP. But some of the ones that were cheaper and easier to get, like Iconic Masters, Masters 25, I went ahead and used a lower version of the price at like a $7 pack. Even like Ultimate Masters, I even discounted to like a $300 box because those were kind of available. And then Double Masters to $15 a pack. So that's how I got the information. And now let's compare and let's take a look at the history of master sets and how they compare to each set on either end. So like Modern Masters, Dragon's Maze came out right before, Magic 2014 came out right after. And here you see that Modern Masters, the long term, very much the win. Even though, Magic 2014, if you were to get $85 boxes, you'd be up 135% right now, compared to Modern Masters. If you bought at MSRP, you'd be up 185%. And that's kind of how that would be. So in this case, Modern Masters took that cake. But that's like one of the only times the master set wins. We're going to talk about this. I'll go ahead and give you the final details here. The master sets only won 2 of the times out of 8, compared to this, I'm going to call it the rate comparison, which is the $85 box prices. At MSRP, they only won 3 of the 8 times, and there was 1 tie. So based on this data, it is way better for you to purchase the standard sets on either end of a master set rather than putting your money into a master set. Let's take a look at more of the data. Like Dragons of Tarkir, way up. Even Magic Origins up, not compared to MSRP. Again, this is using that rate comparison. Dragons of Tarkir would still be up on MSRP, but Modern Masters sitting at that 32%. The tie we had for MSRP was Eternal Masters and Eldritch Moon, but Eldritch Moon completely obliterated the rate on the comparison. If you were able to get $85 boxes, you are sitting way up at 240%. Modern Masters 2017 didn't really do anything. It's up 40%. Even if you were to drop this price to like an $8 price point, you're up 75%, even when you drop it all the way down to $7. If you think you were able to get packs for that $7 price point, which would be, 24 times 7, 24 times 7. So you're looking at $168 boxes. You still have Amonkhet and Aether Revolt both beating out that price point, even with the discounted rate. Iconic Masters, even that one, like you're only up 30% at that $7 price point. You're down at the MSRP price point. And Ixalan kind of destroys that. Rivals of Ixalan destroys that. Dominaria, obviously a set that performed super well, but even Rivals of Ixalan came out, right before Masters 25, destroying Masters 25. You can see the facts based on this data. Again, you can go and check the data if you want, but based on this data, it is not worth it to invest your money in the master set compared to the other end. So now I want to talk about why I think that this is. What causes this, and what is the reasoning because of this. And the number one thing that I think is a reason here is because the price increase on the master sets. The price increase, if you take a look at the older sets, a $7 MSRP, those sets were very close, especially the first one, Modern Masters, but those sets were very close. You had the tie there in Eternal Masters. Those sets were a much closer price point. And so when they rose the price of MSRP and when they rose the price to distributors, when they made it more expensive for stores to get the boxes, the consumers basically rejected that price point a little bit. And I think this is a very important notion because this is kind of what is happening currently in Magic the Gathering. Again, they are raising the prices, and I personally think that the market is rejecting that increase in price, and that has extreme implications for you and I if we buy sealed product to sit on and to invest in. The second reason I think this is that the reprint equity has decreased so much. When you have these master sets and they come out with all these master sets over and over, and then you even get some reprints in regular standard sets, like we're seeing like Liliana the Veil happening in Dominaria United, that reprint equity only really drops. It only really goes down, and so it makes those new sets just not. It doesn't make the new sets. It affects the old sets because the value in the box is lowered as a result of these cards continuing to see reprint. So that's another really big reason. And then the second part, which is super interesting to me, is the effect of box toppers. The effect of box toppers being, if you look at like Ultimate Masters and Double Masters, one of the big sales pitches of those products were the box toppers. And we don't really have enough of a timeline, right? Ultimate Masters, not really far enough away. It's still, distribution is still dripping out very, very, very thin in there based on TCG prices. But these are not out of the system entirely yet for Ultimate Masters. And so we haven't really seen how box toppers affect it. And then meanwhile, we see these box toppers that aren't even really that special anymore compared to some of the flashier versions of cards that we're seeing in like collector boxes and that kind of thing. So I think those box toppers have a little bit of an impact on those prices on the recent things. And that's definitely something to watch moving forward. All right, but what does this mean, in my opinion, for collectors and investors? And this is not financial advice, all that crap. But what does this mean for collectors and investors, in my opinion? You have a lot of competition for Masters products. When Double Masters 2022 comes out, when all these new Masters products comes out, the initial hype is so high that it drives the prices up, and it's really difficult to compete for those boxes. We saw this with Double Masters, particularly the first one, particularly in the middle of the pandemic. It was harder to get the product. The competition for Masters boxes, in my opinion, is not worth the stress. It's not worth the FOMO of missing out, because Masters products, they seem to have like a ceiling at that $400 to $500 price point. And now with the increased value, the increased cost of the product, it's really difficult to justify that in a percentage gains compared to being able to get $80, $90 boxes that, maybe in 5-6 years are scaling up. I particularly think you are better off focusing on standard sets and waiting to the back end of a standard set in rotation. So things like right now, like Zendikar Rising, a set that has been out for a long time. It's kind of in last call. I would not be buying Dominaria United boxes as much as a store owner. I want you to do that because it's easier for me to make money. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you want to put your money towards something right now, you want to be looking at the back end of things that have been out, that are already low in price. There's not a whole lot of competition to get the product. You can easily pick up cases and a number of products and focus on those standard sets moving forward, and then make a list of the standard sets that you haven't purchased in yet. So put Dominaria United on that list, and in 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year and a half, you start looking at that product again and say, okay, is this the time to start putting my money to that? I think that will help you see some of those rates of return, because the rates of return on this stuff is pretty good. Take a look at the rates of return on some of these products. Dominaria up 170%, Ravnica Allegiance and Guilds Ravnica up 70%. Take a look at the old ones. Amonkhet and Aether Revolt up 141, 173%. This is based on $85 price points. Those are significant value gains, and those boxes were available at the $80 to $90 to $100 price point for quite a while, until they just all of a sudden the supply dried up and they started moving up. So let me know what you think in the comment section about all these things. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on master sets. Do you think that they have a peak price, a ceiling price as a result of reprints? Another thing that I didn't even touch on is the ability to draft these sets, and how that affects for stores to be able to move product, how that affects for the consumers who want to hang out at their table and do that, whereas master sets don't really have the flavor that are excited to be drafting. You don't get to go back to that plane and that kind of thing. That's a whole nother conversation that we could have had, but I'm very curious to see what you think about all this. Leave that in the comment section. Make sure you hit like and hit subscribe if you want to help the channel grow. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you again next video.